Let's see. Grandma, when you were in school, were you taught the earth was flat or a globe?
Flat.
It was flat, right?
Yeah.
It's not a globe. Crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, that was good.
You might need to pray for this boy I'm about to show you, because his family might not ever see him again. So Ethan Gould, a 19-year-old pilot, did something apparently nobody is supposed to do. Ethan, being the pilot that he is, wanted to be the first person to fly around the 7 continents solo. And what did he do? He flew. And he flew to Antarctica, and you already know what that meant, right? Ethan got locked up, and now they're holding him until they figure out what he was really doing flying in Antarctica. This is his Instagram page right here. And like I said, he wanted to fly to all 7 continents solo and be the first person to do that. But he also wanted to raise $1 million for cancer. This is what he took those trips for. So basically, they detained Ethan because he filed a false flight claim, saying that he was going one place, but he wound up in Antarctica. Ethan was in southern Chile. He left southern Chile, and then he said that his plane was having some sort of complications. And those complications led him into Antarctica. And you already know what happens after that, right? And we all know how they feel about Antarctica. Why is Antarctica so protected? Why can't you fly in Antarctica? What don't they want you to see that's behind that ice wall in Antarctica? Well, if you jump down that rabbit hole, you would definitely be able to see. And now, people might need to bring some awareness to this, because, like I said, his family might not ever see him again. If you know about Antarctica, you heard the claims. You heard about everything that goes on in Antarctica. And apparently, they're trying to protect it. Jump down that rabbit hole and find out what's going on with Ethan. I'm out.
Genuine question for anybody who can answer this. So apparently, July 8th, 99% of the world's population will see daylight at the exact same time. This is the diagram right here that they are sharing, explaining how this is possible. So, with that, keep in mind where they're showing the sun is going to be hitting when 99% of the population will see the sun. Now look at this. This is a photo that NASA produced to the public and said that this is an image of Earth. Can you compare these two images and understand how the math ain't mathin'? Yeah, something's up here. So you might want to look into this a little bit. According to NASA's own image of the Earth, this is the only amount of sunlight that should be able to be seen by people at one time. So how is it that the light is hitting the other side of the Earth? A little confused.
A teenage pilot has been detained by Chilean authorities after illegally flying to Antarctica, and I bet you know who he is. Pilot and social media star 19-year-old Ethan Gould has been on a journey to fly to all 7 continents in an effort to raise money for cancer research in his Cessna 182. He was inspired to embark on this journey after his cousin was diagnosed with cancer. He's an IFR-rated pilot with over 700 hours and has multiple Atlantic crossings. On Saturday, over 100 days into his journey, he found himself in Chile, conveniently close to the most difficult of the 7 continents to land in, Antarctica. He took off from Punta Arenas Airport early on the morning of the 28th and modified his flight plan, now heading directly south to the most remote continent. After the roughly 800-mile journey, he arrived at Teniente Marsh Airport on King Island, Antarctica, where his landing was caught on camera. Obviously, this wasn't the most wise decision, but the cause he's raising money for is noble, and it'd be pretty cool to be able to say you landed your personal Cessna in Antarctica at only 19 years old.
So the first topic that the globe proponents will say is, you don't know how big that Pacific Ocean is. The Pacific Ocean takes up half of the globe, which it doesn't take up half the globe, but it takes up half the globe, and that's what makes this 99% of daylight possible. So we're going to bring this big ocean back here to the back, and we're going to put the Terminator line right here on California, okay? Because we want the United States. A lot of people live here, and we're looking for people, not land. So we're going to cut this off in California. Let's come over here and see what we got. So what we've ended up with is over half the population of China is in complete darkness. This has to be in daylight. Indonesia, way back here is Australia. It's all in complete darkness. Look at all this land that's in complete darkness. There's too many people here for this to work. So let's bring that Chinese population back on the Terminator line. Let's step back over here and see what we've got. Well, looky there. Over half of the United States is now in complete darkness. To get 99% of the population, you've got to get more than that. Look how much of South America is in. There's a lot of people down here. You can't get 99% of the population in daylight on a globe. It does not work. So if you'd like to join us in the comments down below, give me your opinion on what I can do differently to make this work, because I've tried this. I've tried it with the axis of tilt pointed in a different direction, and that actually makes it even worse. So you have to point it like this, which is the way it's supposed to be for that time of year. But I can't find any place on this globe to where 99% of the population experiences some form of daylight all at the same time. It does not work.
They're never gonna see him again. Like, when I say never, never. We ain't gonna never so much as see a social media post from this kid ever again. And all he did was something that, when you think about it, all he did was something that an average 19-year-old who just got their pilot license would do. It's no different than when kids first get their driver's license. They go driving and doing shit they ain't got no business doing. He got his pilot license and was doing shit he ain't had no business doing. And he's detained. Who owns Antarctica? That's my only question. And what's so, outside of what they tell us, what's so bad about a motherfucker going to see that? Because you can go to Antarctica on, you can take the boats to get there. But when it comes to flying, they shut all that shit down. So he was able to successfully fly there, land there, get arrested and detained. What military, first of all, if we can't fly there, how the military base there? What are they doing there? We can't go there. What are they doing there? Can somebody, anybody on that military base stitch, comment, let me know something? What y'all gonna say? Y'all ain't got access to social media? Not in today's age. That don't work, bucko. Long story short, we're never gonna see him again because he 9 times out of 10 saw some shit he was not supposed to see.
Another globe killer. So every July 8th at 11:15 UTC time, 99% of the world population is experiencing sunlight. And about 70% of the globe is lit up on July 8th, every July 8th, at 11:15 UTC time. Now please tell me how that's possible on this cartoon ball right here. Someone please, no matter how you spin it, only 50% of this ball will be lit up at any given time. Globe killer, again. So let's all join together and make July 8th the day the globe died. So bye-bye, Globey, bye-bye.
Okay, I've just got off the phone with Ethan Guo, the 19-year-old pilot that's been detained in Antarctica, and it's not looking good. Firstly, for anyone that doesn't know, Ethan is trying to raise $1 million for cancer research by becoming the first person ever to fly to all 7 continents solo. He's been traveling for over 360 days and only has one continent left, the one that he's currently detained on, Antarctica. And if you're thinking, detained by who? No one owns it. Well, that's where things get tricky, because on the 28th of June, he took off from Chile heading to Argentina, when he says the weather conditions got so bad he had to declare an emergency and divert to land at Tennant Marsh, which is a public airfield in Antarctica. And when he did, everything seemed okay. He was met by a fire response team, and after a bit of a conversation and an hour later, they said he was clear to take off again, but he should file a new flight plan with the control tower. However, before he could, another group of people, this time in black clothing, approached him and said he was under arrest. He would only later find out that this was the Chilean Navy. After arresting Ethan, they searched his plane, moved it into a hangar, and then later that night they took his phone, they strip searched him, and then placed him in a room under guard supervision and did not allow him to contact the consulate or use Wi-Fi. Now here is where things get crazy, because Chile has been trying to claim this part of Antarctica since 1940, about a year after World War II broke out. But under the Antarctic Treaty, which they also signed in 1961, no country can claim sovereignty over Antarctica. So that begs the question, what legal basis do they have to apply Chilean law to a non-citizen outside of Chile? And that's not to mention that Ethan declared an emergency to land, which in the aviation world typically grants you immunity from laws and repercussions pending an investigation. From their perspective, they are saying that Ethan lied about the emergency, saying that his social media post about his goal trying to land on all 7 continents suggests evidence for intent rather than a real emergency. And now things have got real bad. He said that they've now placed a 90-day travel ban on him from leaving Chile while they investigate. Problem is though, he's not in Chile, and he can't even get there because he says that they won't allow him to fly the plane, and there's no boats or planes to get back there for months. He says he can't even leave the Navy barracks without someone having to go with him. So he's now stuck in Antarctica in peak winter, hoping that his legal team can somehow get him out. But at least he's got his phone back now, so I'll keep speaking with him and keep you guys updated as we know more.
Every July the 8th, the spinning ball Earth gets destroyed. Every July the 8th, the spinning ball Earth gets destroyed. Every July the 8th, the spinning ball Earth gets destroyed.
Okay, so there's a 19-year-old pilot who flew into Antarctica solo without permission on his Cessna plane, and he has since been caught and detained. Ethan Guo is 19. He set out on a mission May of 2024, flew out of Memphis. He wanted to go to all 7 continents, and he's been documenting his whole process. He has a huge IG following, and he's been doing a great job. He's gone to over 60 countries. However, he landed in Chile. He submitted flight information saying he was going to be flying over the city of Punta Arenas. Next thing you know, he lands in Antarctica, and the authorities are furious. They're like, you have no authority to be here, you don't have any permissions, any permits, and they have detained him. Now they're going to be sending him back over to Chile, where he'll be detained for another 90 days pending further investigation. But it causes people to wonder, because this man was doing a great job. All of this was for research purposes, because he has a cousin who has Hodgkin's lymphoma, so he wanted to raise cancer awareness and raise over $1 million to research for cancer. But once he landed in Antarctica, everything has come to a halt. But it makes people wonder, why is it so hard to go to Antarctica? And the fact that all countries don't agree on anything. This is the one continent that they all agree on, that nobody can access. Over 30 countries have bases there. Considerably, they say it's for research purposes, but no citizen can just go and take a flight to Antarctica. You can't take a boat there. You can't just visit there without permit from the country from which you're flying from. What do you guys think about that? A lot of people tend to think that there's something beyond the ice wall. A lot of people tend to think that there's something underneath the water, that they're hiding other lands. I don't know exactly what's what over there, but I do know that Antarctica is full of deep secrets and mysteries, and they are trying to keep everybody away. Similar to Area 51, similar to the Vatican, there are so much hidden truths all around those areas, and I really wonder what exactly is going on, because these countries are quite literally willing to take innocent lives and go to war for just about anything from oil to money. But when it comes to this one specific place, everybody is on the same page, and that really makes you wonder why.
Every July the 8th, the spinning ball Earth concept gets destroyed. Look at the glober in the image below trying to make this work out on the globe. It's impossible. It's impossible for the sun to wrap around 3/4 of a ball. It only makes sense on the flat Earth. You cannot have the tip of South America lit by the sun at the same time the whole Asia and the far north of Russia and Canada and the United States are all lit by the sun. The globe is dead. It's time we ask NASA to reimburse taxpayers for all the money they have stolen since its creation. In 1958,
so the 19-year-old that's been arrested for flying to Antarctica without permission, my question is, like, what was his plan all along? So if you haven't seen this story, Ethan is a 19-year-old who his plan was to fly to all 7 continents to help raise money for cancer. Also, his website has now been removed. So he's charged with filing a false flight plan and then entering a restricted area, because what he did was he left southern Chile and his flight plan only had him flying over this area right here. Well, his lawyers are claiming that he started having flight complications and just decided to fly to Antarctica. I mean, either way, at this point, it's mission accomplished, right? Because Antarctica was the only continent he had left. So my whole thing was, what was his original plan? Did he ever apply for permission to land in Antarctica? I mean, because come on, it's looking a little suspicious. You're having complications, so you just decide to fly across the ocean? So he's been charged with violating 2 articles of the country's aeronautical code, including one that could lead to short-term imprisonment. But because he left from Chile and then also landed at a Chile-operated station, he did not land in a neutral zone. Chile is the enforcement authority on this. Either way, he has become the first person to fly solo in a small aircraft to all 7 continents.
Globe religion believers! As it gets closer to July 8th, the countdown narrows. We lined the NASA globe up. Then Google Earth. The differences create questions. Scientifically, the globe will never receive more than 50% sunlight at any time. When twilight is examined, pause to read. Twilight is the relation of the sun to the horizon, meaning the light within your field of view, not the light of half a globe. Real example. Now, this gentleman, he made claims this was an accurate program, a scale model of the solar system. He kept moving the model around so we couldn't examine it. Luckily, this screenshot was obtained. Lined up with the shadow of the map, you begin to see the issues. Time to flurfinate this! We can clearly see that the impossible's illumination does not match the map's example of illumination. With this evidence, the impossible is cooked. If you can't see the problem, you might be the problem. This program is not accurate, so don't make claims before you investigate. Oh, if you want to focus on population, we can do that also. 99% of population, according to the Weather Channel, would reside in these locations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the globe. 1, 2, and we will give you 3.
You should never argue with hardcore Globers. You will not change their mind. There's no evidence that they will accept. You can show them math, you can show them NASA's documents straight up saying, there's like 14 of them, I think, that say that the Earth is flat and stationary in plain terms. There's nothing that you can do to change their mind. They swear they see curvature on obviously flat horizons of like weather balloon pictures. There's just simply nothing that you can do to convince them. And the reason is because it's not an intellectual issue, it's a heart posture issue. So what I mean by that is that they cast Kabbalah spells. In Kabbalah, which is Jewish magic, they worship celestial spheres. We already know that they cast spells on the masses. It doesn't stop at food and like objects and things like that. It also applies to space. That's why these people can't see it, because when you have a hardened heart, God allows spell casting to be done to you. And the reason that they do this spell casting is because those that are hard in heart, they want you to energetically align yourself with the fallen angels, which are the planets. They're literally named after the pantheon gods, which are the fallen angels. That's why they try to get us to say that we live on a spinning globe, because they do. They're trapped in the firmament, and that's why they try to tell us that we live in the Milky Way galaxy. There's no such thing. The fallen, the planets are limited to the Milky Way, so they wander, but they're in like a cage. So every time that they tell us, oh, we live in the Milky Way, no, we don't, because we're not fallen angels. So the people that are so attached to space and the globe model, it's much further beyond like an intellectual issue. It truly is a heart posture issue. And I think that's why so many people that are so wrapped up in space are such hardcore atheists. And those are just two examples. There's so many things that they try to get us to do and say to align with Nephilim or fallen angels that people don't even realize.
From the ashes we will never die. Can you feel the power of our battle cry?
The Flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Eddie Alenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.